Walgreens is one of the biggest pharmacy chains in the world.
And I am the manager of the Walgreens pharmacy.
Yet over the past decade, its market cap has fallen 90%, or about $100 billion in market cap. In 2024, it announced plans to cut 1,200 stores. What happened? It's not just Walgreens or one big scandal, but something much deeper. The entire industry is going through a metamorphosis, which might make things worse for all of us. To understand what's really happening, we have to look at the mechanics behind pharmacies. In the US, there are two titans, Walgreens and CVS. To most people, they might as well be the same company. But there's an important difference which explains why Walgreens is dying. Walgreens was seeing slow and steady growth from $12 billion in 1996 to $77 billion in 2014. But they wanted to grow bigger, so in 2014, they completed the merger with another gigantic pharmacy, Alliance Boots, in Europe. The new Walgreens Boots Alliance was now a titan from a market cap of $57 billion to over $100 billion. But after the merger, even with much more revenue, things didn't look so good. Earnings initially doubled from $3 billion to $6 billion, but then they quickly began to decline. Then, in the 2020s, they went into freefall. Now let's pivot to CVS, who had a very similar path until 2006, when they acquired a company called Caremark. Not a pharmacy, not a health insurance company, but a pharmacy benefit manager. This becomes important later. In 2018, they acquired the health insurance company, Aetna, for about $69 billion. Then, Signify Health in 2023 for $8 billion, a home health and care coordination company. And then, Oak Street Health, who provide primary care clinics for $10 billion. CVS had big plans and very different to Walgreens. Now, let's jump forward to today. Things are pretty bad in the US pharmacy industry, but how bad? Looking at Walgreens' revenue, it doesn't seem all bad. After all, it reached a record high of $150 billion in 2025. But let's look closer. Revenue is still growing slowly, but Walgreens' profits have gone cliff diving. $7 billion in profit in 2021 to a $4.6 billion loss in 2022, and by 2024, a loss of $13 billion. Its share price has dropped 90%, and in 2024, it announced plans to cut 1,200 stores, including 500 in 2025. But what's even stranger is how different is this to CVS? CVS has stayed profitable, and despite some drops, has stayed far above the red, with $10 billion profit in 2025. Yet between 2022 and 2025, CVS also closed 900 stores, and that trend is continuing. What's going on? Walgreens and CVS are closing stores left and right, yet only Walgreens is dying. What's happening? There's something we need to address first. Retail has changed, and that includes your over-the-counter or even prescription medication. Many can now order these from Amazon, and even prescriptions can be delivered the same day. Not only that, many people receive regular pharmacy products automatically every month with subscription and save. After COVID-19 especially, many people have changed the way they shop for day-to-day goods, which puts pressure on the pharmacy chains. But why Walgreens and not CVS? Even though both chains are closing, there's that massive difference that is beginning to squeeze Walgreens. For starters, Amazon is actually just copying CVS. In 2004, it acquired Eckerd Health Services and began using its mail order system for pharmacy medication. CVS has been way ahead of the game. In its Q2 2025 financial statement, Walgreens' retail pharmacy segment made $30.4 billion in revenue. That figure is 78.8% of Walgreens' revenue, almost 80% from retail pharmacy alone, and just 5.6% from healthcare at $2.2 billion. What's the problem? Well, when we compare Walgreens to CVS, the picture becomes clear. In CVS' latest quarter financials, they stated pharmacy revenue was $31.9 billion, just slightly bigger than Walgreens. Yet it was only 34% of their total revenue. Healthcare benefits, aka health insurance, was $34.8 billion at 36.8%, and health services was the largest at 45.9% at $43 billion. Walgreens is extremely reliant on retail and the old retail pharmacy model. But CVS pivoted. This is where that vague health services comes in. It's almost half its revenue, but it's not retail prescriptions or health insurance. What is it? Well, this is Caremark, CVS Pharmacy Benefit Manager, or PBM, and this is huge, but also very confusing. So bear with me, because once we uncover this, we see what's really happening. This is how pharmacies work. It starts with drug manufacturers like Pfizer, who set a price of $500 for something like Lipitor. The wholesaler buys it from Pfizer at a discount of $300. And when you fill your Lipitor prescription, you hand over $25. Earlier, the pharmacy bought that bottle from the wholesaler for about $300. So how do pharmacies make profit? Well, they don't technically go to the wholesaler, they submit the claim to the PBM. They set the recommended list of drugs that insurers and pharmacies look at. So they say to the drug maker, if you want your drug on my preferred list, send me a cut after every bottle sells. This is called a rebate, and this is where the real money is. Your insurer pays the PBM the original price of $500 and a pharmacy dispensing fee of $10 minus the $25 you paid. So $485. So how do PBMs make any money here? Well, that's where the rebate comes in. Behind the scenes, Pfizer pays the PBM the $200 difference, which they pocket. They'll also typically demand a bit back from the pharmacy, saying they overpaid, like $50. This is a clawback. So Walgreens here, from $510 minus $50 minus the original $300 price they paid, makes about $160 in profit. It's a very complicated process with lots of parties. You, your insurer, the pharmacy, the drug maker, the manufacturer, the wholesaler, and the PBM. But the PBM is what matters here. They don't make the drug, they don't sell the drug, they don't even insure you, yet they make possibly the biggest margin here. Walgreens has a pharmacy with some other services, but CVS is a pharmacy and a PBM. In fact, CVS owns the biggest PBM in the US with 34% market share. When they do the whole process of rebates, they get to pocket all of it. Walgreens only take a smaller margin right at the end. But this is getting worse. PBMs have slowly pushed generic drugs instead of named brands, like regular paracetamol. Margins are getting smaller and smaller, and that's the difference here. CVS insulated itself not just by adapting, but by becoming the ecosystem. It saw pharmacies as the doorway to more money, not as the entire business. Healthcare, PBMs, pharmacies, primary care, home care, CVS has all of it. Walgreens, however, went all in on the retail pharmacy side. It was working, but they weren't diversified much at all. Almost 80% of revenue is from retail pharmacy alone. And now, margins are so small that many pharmacies aren't even making enough to cover the cost of staying open. But somehow, it still gets even worse. As of 2024, nearly 30% of all drugstores in the US have closed compared to a decade ago. Many Walgreens are closing stores due to low margins, yet stores are also facing massive costs elsewhere. The America First Policy Institute reported that California retailers face an onslaught of theft that threatens their economic viability, places workers in dangerous situations, and damages Californians' sense of safety in their communities. Fresno, Los Angeles, and San Francisco saw commercial burglary increase by 38%, 29%, and 26%, respectively, from 2019 to 2022. Over the same period, Alameda County and Orange County witnessed a 65% and 54% increase, respectively, in commercial burglary. The cost of theft forced many stores to close, including Walgreens. Beneath all this, closures are creating pharmacy deserts, areas without pharmacies. One study found that nationally, 15.8 million, or 4.7%, of all people in the United States live in pharmacy deserts. Seniors who need the most medication need to walk further to access care. Those in pharmacy deserts have a 3% drop in medication adherence and suffer worse health, and have 2.7% higher emergency visits. And as you would guess, these stores aren't closing in high-income areas with multiple pharmacies. Instead, pharmacies' deserts are more common when more than 1 in 5 people live below the poverty line, or the average household makes a lot less than nearby areas. The healthcare industry has changed. On one side, you've got trusted mom and pop pharmacies. On the other, retail giants like Amazon, Walmart, and Costco. Stuck in the middle are chains like Walgreens and CVS, built for a world that doesn't exist anymore. CVS pivoted and became part of the system. Walgreens doubled down on retail, and the trends didn't move in their favor. Now, they're doing everything they can to survive.